On a dusty sidewalk in Oakland, a small black artist was displaying drawings made on simple bread paper. When Steph Curry happened to pass by and saw his own face perfectly portrayed in the hands of that poor child, he instantly stopped. What the millionaire basketball star did next left the crowd completely speechless. An act that not only transformed this girl's life, but inspired an entire community. What happened next? No one could imagine the impact that was about to unfold. The alarm rang at 5:30 in the morning, and Jasmine Williams's tired eyes opened in the dimness of the small apartment in East Oakland. 12 years old, and the weight of the world already on her fragile shoulders. Careful not to make noise, she slid out of the bed she shared with her two younger siblings. "Another day?" she whispered to herself as she washed her face in the peeling bathroom sink. The cracked mirror reflected her fragmented image, a black girl with large, expressive eyes, with simple braids her mother had done the previous Sunday, to last the entire week. In the tiny kitchen, Jasmine prepared sandwiches for her siblings to take to school. The bread was already running low, but she knew how to cut the slices very thin so it would last a few more days. Her mother, Denise, had left before dawn for the first of 3 cleaning jobs she maintained to support the family since their father had abandoned them 2 years ago. "Jazz, is there coffee?" asked her brother Marcus sleepily, aged 8, dragging his feet to the kitchen. "Just water today, little brother." "But I made your favorite sandwich," she responded with a smile, hiding the pain of having to say no once again. While they walked to the neighborhood's public school, Jasmine firmly held her siblings' hands. They passed by the community basketball court, and as always, her eyes fixed on the rusty hoops and the backboards without nets. It was there that magic happened on weekends, when some young people from the neighborhood gathered to play, and sometimes, when she was lucky, they would lend her the ball for a few minutes. "Look there, Jazz, it's number 30, exclaimed her little sister Zoe, pointing to a faded mural on the court wall. It was an old painting of Steph Curry, star of the Golden State Warriors. The paint was peeling, but the characteristic smile and confident posture of the player remained intact. Jasmine stopped for a moment, admiring the image as she did every day. "One day, I'll meet him," she said, with the conviction that only children possess, that unshakable certainty of dreams not yet confronted by reality. At school, Jasmine was a quiet but dedicated student. During breaks, while other children played, she often sat alone, drawing with already worn-down pencils on any scrap of paper she could find. Today, she had picked up some draft sheets from the classroom trash can. "Is that Steph Curry?" asked the art teacher, Mrs. Bennett, approaching silently and observing the drawing over Jasmine's shoulder. The girl nodded timidly, partially hiding the paper. "Sorry for using paper from the trash." Mrs. Bennett crouched beside the desk. "Jasmine, you have an incredible gift. Why don't you participate in the after-school art classes? We have materials you can use." The girl's face lit up for an instant before returning to a serious expression. "I can't. I have to sell candy after school to help at home." The teacher nodded understandingly. She wasn't the first talented child whose dreams were limited by the need for survival. "I understand. But if you change your mind..." She placed some new colored pencils on the table. "These were extra. You can keep them." After classes ended, while her classmates headed to extracurricular activities or to their homes, Jasmine quickly collected her siblings and headed to Mr. Rodriguez's bakery, 2 blocks beyond the school. "Good afternoon, pequeña artista," greeted the middle-aged baker with his distinctive accent. "Your mother left the sweets ready in the back refrigerator." Mr. Rodriguez was one of the few people who helped Jasmine's family. He allowed Denise to use his kitchen in the early mornings to prepare the homemade sweets that her daughter sold on the streets. In exchange, Denise cleaned the bakery on Sundays. "Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez," replied Jasmine, entering through the back door. In the small storage area, she picked up the styrofoam box with the brigadeiros and cookies that her mother had prepared. Before she left, Mr. Rodriguez called to her. "Wait, I have something for you." He extended a package with sheets of bread paper used to wrap breads. "You're always looking at these papers. I thought maybe you'd like some for your drawings." Jasmine's eyes filled with tears that she quickly contained, accustomed to hiding emotions. That paper had a special texture. It wasn't white like normal sheets, but had a yellowish tone and a surface that accepted pencil strokes well. "Thank you very much," she said, hugging the package against her chest as if it were a treasure. With her siblings left in the care of an elderly neighbor who charged only $5 per afternoon, Jasmine headed to her usual spot, the corner of Market Street and 7th, where pedestrian traffic was considerable. She set up her small improvised table made from an upside-down cardboard box, arranged the sweets, and set the price, $1 each. The first 2 hours were slow. Only 3 sales. While waiting, Jasmine took out one of the bread papers and Mrs. Bennett's colored pencils from her pocket. She began to draw, almost instinctively, the familiar face of Steph Curry. She had memorized every line of his face from observing posters and images in old magazines at the barber shop. The bread paper had a texture that made the drawing different, softer, more ethereal. The lines flowed as if they had a life of their own. Jasmine was so absorbed that she didn't notice when a small crowd began to form around her. "My God, look at this," commented a well-dressed woman, leaning to get a better look. "Did you draw this, dear?" Jasmine nodded, suddenly aware of the attention. Normally, people walked right past her, as if she were invisible. Being noticed was a strange sensation. "How much for that drawing?" asked a man in a suit. The question caught her by surprise. Selling drawings? She had never thought of that. I don't know." "I'll give $20 for it," offered the man, already taking out his wallet. Jasmine's eyes widened. $20 was more than she made in 2 days selling sweets. With that money, she could buy milk, eggs, and even that cough medicine her mother so badly needed. "Okay," she responded, still incredulous. While handing over the drawing and receiving the bills, an idea emerged in her mind. Maybe, just maybe, there was another path. That night, after her siblings fell asleep, Jasmine sat in the dim light of the only functioning lamp in the living room and began drawing on bread paper. One after another, portraits of Steph Curry took shape, shooting, smiling, celebrating. In each one, she put not only her technical skill, but also her dreams, her admiration for someone who, like her, had faced adversities to achieve greatness. By daybreak, exhausted but satisfied, Jasmine looked at the 5 perfect drawings she had created. "Today will be different," she promised herself, carefully storing them in a plastic folder found in the school trash. Today, everything will change. She didn't know how right she was. The Oakland sun burned the asphalt that Thursday summer day, creating heat waves that danced above the cracked neighborhood streets. Jasmine wiped the sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand, adjusting her small stand on the sidewalk. The 5 drawings of Steph Curry, carefully executed on bread paper, were displayed next to the brigadeiros and cookies. "How much is the drawing?" asked a boy approximately her age, stopping his rusty bicycle in front of the improvised stand. $15, replied Jasmine, repeating the price she had decided on after the previous day's success. It was a lot of money, she knew that, but she also recognized the value of her work. The boy gave a short laugh. $15? Are you crazy? And he pedaled away, leaving Jasmine with a small pang of doubt in her chest. Perhaps she was asking too much? Perhaps the man in the suit from the day before was just an exception. The hours dragged on as the heat increased, and no one else asked about the drawings. 3 sweets sold. $6 in her pocket. When the clock of the nearby church struck 4, Jasmine saw her mother walking hurriedly across the opposite sidewalk, looking more tired than ever. Denise Williams, at 32 years old, seemed to have lived twice that. Hard work and constant worries had carved deep lines into her still young face. "How was today, dear?" she asked, kissing the top of her daughter's head. Jasmine felt the familiar weight of disappointment. "Not very good. Only $6. Denise nodded, swallowing her own disappointment. "It's okay. Tomorrow will be better." She then noticed the drawings. "What's this? Are you selling your drawings now?" With a mixture of pride and hesitation, Jasmine told about the man who had bought her drawing the previous day. "I thought maybe I could sell more." Denise's tired eyes softened with admiration. "They're beautiful, Jazz. Really amazing." She ran her fingers delicately over the bread paper. "And this material gives a special effect." An older man approached, attracted by the drawings. "You have talent, girl," he commented, examining the portrait of Curry in full shooting motion. "But why Curry? Are you a Warriors fan?" Jasmine's face lit up with genuine enthusiasm. "He's the best. Did you know he was considered too short for professional basketball? Many people doubted him, but he never gave up." Her eyes sparkled as she spoke. "He proved everyone wrong." The man smiled, recognizing something beyond the drawing, a child's identification with the athlete's story of overcoming. "How much for the drawing?" $15, she responded, this time with more confidence. To her surprise, the man didn't hesitate. He took the money from his wallet and carefully picked up the drawing. "Keep drawing, girl. You have something special here." That sale changed the mood of the day. Denise hugged her daughter, proud, and together they collected the stand, heading home with $21, enough for a small relief in the bills. The next morning, as Jasmine again set up her stand on the sidewalk, she heard the buzz of local children. A group ran by, excited about some news. "What's happening?" she asked a boy she knew from school. "Haven't you heard? The neighborhood was chosen for a community event. They say there will be celebrities, free food, everything. It's tomorrow, right there in Jefferson Square." Jasmine felt a shiver of excitement. Events meant people, and people meant potential customers. Quickly, her mind began to calculate. She needed to make more drawings, the best possible. This could be the opportunity they had been waiting for. That night, after everyone went to sleep, Jasmine stayed awake again. Her fingers worked tirelessly on bread paper, creating new portraits of Curry. In one of them, she captured the iconic moment when the player bit his mouth guard, looking determinedly at the basket. In another, the joyful instant of celebration after a successful three-point shot. When the sun began to rise on the horizon, she had 7 new drawings, each more impressive than the last. Her eyes burned with fatigue, but her heart was light with hope. The day of the event dawned sunny and clear. The normally quiet streets of East Oakland were alive with activity. Volunteers were setting up tents and stalls, sound systems were being tested, and the aroma of food being prepared filled the air. Jasmine chose a strategic point on the sidewalk near the main entrance to the square. With the help of Marcus and Zoe, she set up her stand with more care than ever. The drawings on bread paper were arranged standing up, propped against small stones so they wouldn't blow away in the wind. "Do you think you'll sell them all today?" asked Zoe, looking admiringly at the drawings of her brother. "I hope so," replied Jasmine nervously, adjusting her cleanest shirt, a faded blue piece that had been washed so many times that the fabric was thin and soft. As the morning progressed, the crowd grew. Jasmine sold more sweets than ever. People passing on their way to the event stopped, bought something sweet, and occasionally noticed the drawings. By noon, she had sold 3 drawings and almost all the sweets. That's when the buzz in the crowd changed tone. A growing murmur, followed by excited exclamations and shouts. Something was happening in the square. Marcus, who had gone to investigate, came running back, breathless with excitement. "Jazz! Jazz! You won't believe it! It's him! It's Steph Curry! He's here!" Jasmine's heart seemed to stop for an instant. "What? Don't joke with me, Marcus. It's serious. He's participating in the event. There's a huge line of people wanting autographs." Jasmine felt the world spin. Her idol, the person whose face she had drawn dozens of times, was less than a block away. But she couldn't leave. She needed to stay with the stand, make sales, bring money home. "Go there, Jazz," insisted Zoe, noticing the conflict on her sister's face. "We'll take care of it for a little while." Jasmine hesitated, torn between desire and responsibility. "I can't." "Go!" Marcus gently pushed her. "Quick, before he leaves." With her heart pounding, Jasmine joined the crowd heading to the square. It was a mass of people larger than she had ever seen gathered in the neighborhood. Adults and children equally excited, all trying to get closer to the basketball star. Being small for her age, Jasmine managed to squeeze between people, approaching the barrier that separated the public from the celebrities. And there he was, Steph Curry, smiling, distributing autographs, posing for photos. It seemed unreal, as if he had stepped directly out of her drawings. Jasmine was frozen, observing. She had nothing for him to autograph, nor a phone to take a picture. All she could do was absorb the moment, record every detail in her memory to perhaps, later, transform it into a new drawing. That's when the event coordinator announced, "Now, Steph Curry will participate in a walk through the neighborhood. Please, make space so he can meet the community." The crowd moved like a wave, following the player and his security team who were heading out of the square. Jasmine felt panic grow. They were going in the direction of her stand, where her siblings were alone. Desperate, she tried to make her way back, but it was impossible to swim against that human current. Helpless, she was carried along with the crowd following Curry through the neighborhood streets. The midday sun bathed East Oakland when the impromptu procession turned the corner. At the front, Steph Curry walked with his characteristic smile, surrounded by security guards and a film crew documenting every step of the star through the underprivileged neighborhood. Behind, a growing mass of fans, residents, and onlookers formed a human wave advancing through the narrow streets. Jasmine, still trapped in the middle of the crowd, struggled to return to her stand. Panic tightened her chest as she imagined her siblings frightened by the approaching crowd. Or worse, someone could steal the drawings and the money from the morning's sales. "Excuse me, I need to get through," she begged, but her words were lost in the excited hubbub. As the group approached the corner where her small stand was, Jasmine saw Marcus and Zoe, wide-eyed, watching the crowd approach. To her relief, they hadn't abandoned their post. In fact, they seemed to be holding the drawings, protecting them from the wind that had intensified. That's when it happened. Steph Curry, surrounded by dozens of people asking for autographs and photos, passed right in front of the small, improvised stand on the sidewalk. His gaze, for a brief moment, fell on the drawings that Marcus and Zoe were holding. Portraits of himself, perfectly executed on bread paper by inexperienced but talented hands. There was a hesitation, a moment when time seemed to slow down. Curry stopped. The crowd, confused by the sudden interruption, also stopped. Jasmine, still trying to advance between people, froze when she saw where the player was looking. "Who made these drawings?" asked Curry, his calm voice cutting through the buzz that quickly diminished. Marcus and Zoe, intimidated by the presence of the celebrity in the crowd, were momentarily speechless. It was Marcus who finally pointed to his sister, partially visible among the crowd. "My sister," he said with his voice failing. "Jasmine." The security guards opened a path, and Jasmine felt dozens of gazes turn to her. Heat rose to her face as she timidly advanced, her legs trembling so much she could barely walk. "You drew this?" asked Curry, crouching down to be at the girl's height, holding one of the portraits on bread paper. Jasmine could only nod, words stuck in her throat. "How old are you?" 12, she finally stuttered. Curry examined the drawing again, a portrait of him celebrating a three-point basket with an impressive level of detail, from the expression of joy to the body posture, even the visible drops of sweat. And all this on an unlikely material, bread paper. "This is extraordinary," he said, genuinely impressed. He then noticed something written in the lower corner of the drawing. $15? Jasmine nodded again, suddenly feeling embarrassed. $15 must seem like nothing to someone like him, but for her, it represented medicine for her mother, milk for her siblings, a small respite in constant worries. The crowd had formed a circle around them, cell phone cameras capturing every moment. Someone from Curry's team whispered something in his ear, probably reminding him about the schedule, but the player raised his hand, asking for a moment. "How long have you been drawing?" he asked Jasmine. "Forever," she answered, finding her voice, "but on bread paper, only for a week." "Bread paper?" Curry turned the drawing, examining the unusual material. "It's what I can get. Mr. Rodriguez from the bakery gives me the leftovers." Something changed in Curry's expression, a deeper understanding of the situation emerging in his eyes. He looked at the small stand, the homemade sweets, the carefully displayed drawings, and then at the three siblings with worn but clean clothes. "Do you sell your drawings here every day?" "Almost. After school. I help my mother with the bills." A different silence fell over the crowd. It was no longer just the excitement of seeing a celebrity, but something deeper, the collective recognition of a reality that many preferred to ignore. A 12-year-old child selling art on the sidewalk to help the family survive. Curry looked at the other drawings. How much for all of them? Jasmine made a quick calculation. $75, she responded, hoping not to seem greedy. Without hesitating, Curry took out his wallet and removed some bills. "Actually, I think they're worth much more." He extended the bills, not 75, but several $100s. Jasmine's eyes widened. I can't accept all that." "Yes, you can," said Curry firmly. "Artists deserve to be valued for their work." He paused, looking directly into the girl's eyes. "Especially artists who have to fight harder to create." Jasmine felt hot tears running down her cheeks. despite her efforts to contain them. Beside her, Marcus and Zoe stared open-mouthed at the money, more than they had seen it once in their lives. "Thank you," she whispered, accepting the bills with trembling hands. But Curry wasn't finished. "Which school do you attend?" "Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School." The player turned to one of the assistants accompanying him. "Write that down." Turning back to Jasmine, he continued, "I have some ideas about how we can help develop this incredible talent." That's when Denise Williams arrived running, having been alerted by neighbors about what was happening. Seeing her daughter talking with Steph Curry, surrounded by a crowd and cameras, she stopped abruptly, breathless and confused. "Mom!" Jasmine ran to her, showing the money. "He bought all my drawings." Denise looked from the money to the basketball star, then to her daughter, unable to fully process what was happening. Curry approached, extending his hand. "Your daughter has extraordinary talent, Mrs. Williams." Denise shook the extended hand, still dazed. "Thank you. She always loved drawing." "I'd like to talk to you about some possibilities to help Jasmine develop this gift," said Curry, "if you agree." While the adults talked, Jasmine looked around, at the crowd watching, at her still perplexed siblings, at the drawings she had created with such dedication during sleepless nights. And she felt something she rarely experienced: hope. Not just the vague desire that things would get better someday, but the tangible sensation that a door had opened, a real possibility of change. At that moment, on the hot sidewalk of a street in East Oakland, the improbable encounter between a 12-year-old black child and her basketball idol wasn't just a happy coincidence. It was the turning point that would change everything, and the whole community was there to witness it. The news spread like wildfire through Oakland. Steph Curry meets young street artist. In less than 24 hours, the video of the encounter between the basketball star and little Jasmine reached millions of views. The image of the player kneeling on the sidewalk, admiring drawings made on bread paper, touched the hearts of people across the country. Denise Williams' phone, an old model with a cracked screen, wouldn't stop ringing. Journalists, TV programs, art foundations, everyone wanted to talk to the girl who had captured Curry's attention with her extraordinary talent. "I'm a little scared." "Mom?" confessed Jasmine the next morning, as they ate a more substantial breakfast than normal, thanks to the unexpected money. "All these people." Denise hugged her daughter, her own eyes reflecting a mixture of pride and concern. "You don't need to do anything you don't want to, dear. We can simply thank them and go on with our lives." But before they could make any decision, one call changed everything. It was Rachel Myers, director of the Steph Curry Foundation for Arts and Education, an organization that Jasmine didn't even know existed. "Mr. Curry was deeply impacted by your daughter's talent," explained Rachel on the phone. "He would like to offer Jasmine a full scholarship to the Oakland Young Artists Program, as well as professional art materials and mentoring." Denise held the phone tightly, fighting back tears. That would be wonderful." 3 days later, a van stopped in front of the Williams' small apartment. 2 men unloaded boxes and more boxes of art, materials, easels, canvases of various sizes, acrylic and oil paints, brushes of all types, professional drawing pads, imported colored pencils, pastels, a treasure that Jasmine could never have imagined owning. "Is all this for me?" she asked, unable to believe what she saw. The delivery man smiled, handing her an envelope. "And this, too." Inside the envelope was a handwritten card. "Jasmine, your talent left me speechless. I hope these materials help you continue telling stories through your art. Sometimes, all we need is someone who believes in us and the right tools to show the world what we're capable of. Keep drawing, keep dreaming. Steph Curry. Next to the card was an official invitation to an event the following week. The inauguration of the Sidewalk Art Studio, a new community space dedicated to young artists from underprivileged neighborhoods, with Jasmine Williams's name as the first student and ambassador. On the day of the inauguration, the old abandoned store at the corner of Market Street, just a few meters from where Jasmine used to set up her stand, was unrecognizable. Painted in vibrant colors, with large windows allowing natural light to flood the space, the transformation was complete. Inside, drawing tables, easels, and shelves full of artistic materials were organized in a welcoming and inspiring environment. A crowd gathered outside, much larger than on the day of the community event. Television cameras, journalists, local residents, all waiting